So, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever. I bear witness that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is indeed his true servant, the arisen and exalted Christ. I further bear witness that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan Muhammad is that divine reminder, servant, and warner in our midst today. And in those names, I'd like to greet you, the greeting words of peace, of the paradise of Assalamu alaikum.
Islam, sir.
How are we doing today?
Fine, sir.
Praise be to Allah. So y'all have to bear with me because Brother Lawrence don't usually do interviews. So today, Brother Lawrence will be doing an interview.
Yes, sir.
And so, hey, man, I'm the utility man, you know. If it was ever needed, that's what we do. And so tonight we have a wonderful couple in our midst today. Our brother Jason, and Sister Nakia.
Sister Kadara Nakia.
Kadara
Yes.
Nakia. Make sure I got it right now. Sister Kadara Nakia.
Yeah, on Facebook I'm Nakia, but
Okay, yeah, see that? That's where I see it at. And so we want to welcome them to the great city of New Orleans. Praise be to Allah. And so they are here for, I want to make sure I got this audio right. They are here for an education conference. All right? And so when you come to New Orleans, and if you tell Student Minister Willie that you're going to be in the city of New Orleans, he will not allow you to come to the city of New Orleans without either teaching a lecture or doing some type of interview.
wow.
And so I see our great student minister, Lenny Muhammad, is in the audience. And he was here Wednesday. He told Brother Minister Willie he was going to be in town.
Right.
And the next thing you know, he's on the rostrum teaching. That's just how it is here.
Yes,
And I love Brother Minister Willie for that, because he's not stingy with the rostrum. He understands that the rostrum does not belong to him. That belongs to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yes, sir.
Right? And so he always wants to expose us to different people, different points of view, different ideas. Because we all may not see the teaching the exact same way. And it's just like study group. Someone may say something and you may say, man, I never thought about it from that perspective.
Right.
And so it's always great to be open like that and to not be so afraid that somebody's going to come and steal your thunder. That's right. Right? So that's when you know you have great confidence in yourself. So we want to welcome with a great New Orleans round of applause. Our brother and our sister here in the city. So we want to thank you all for coming out and braving the weather today once again.
Yes, sir.
This is summertime in New Orleans.
Yep.
This is just what it is. You know, you can go through all 4 seasons in one day here. And that's just,
That sounds like right.
yeah, you know. And so that's just how it is. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to have some questions that we're going to pose to them. We're dealing with this thing called marriage.
Right.
Right? And there are those of us who may be married, those who may not be married, but we should be preparing ourselves,
That's right.
right, to be married, because the last I heard, there was no monks
Right.
and
Right.
nuns
That's
Right.
right.
in the Nation of Islam.
That is true.
Okay? So Brother Minister Willie has, of course, as you know, put some questions
Yes,
together.
sir.
And so I'm going to read those questions. And then after we go through the questions, then we'll take questions from the audience. So make sure you have some questions. You know, it's always good to listen, and then we have some questions afterwards. So we'll start with with a minister. He got this stuff typed real small. All right, here we go. There we go. It's normal size. So first of all, what brings the both of you here to the city of New Orleans?
Yes, sir. So, first, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there's no God but Allah, who created us in the person of Master Prophet Muhammad. I bear witness to Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who is the message of Allah, the exalted Christ, and Matthew. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he is the Messiah in our midst. And again, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
So we are here in your great city, the Crescent City.
That's right.
I keep seeing the crescent with the star on driving. I'm like, is that one? No,
That's right.
Star's not quite the right. But so we're here for an education conference. I'm a part of this a principals group. It's principals in Rochester, New York, and actually Montgomery County, Maryland. I've been a part of what's called an affinity group for black principals, leadership development program where we've been interacting for the past 2 years, sharpening our skills, but also dealing with the issues that we face as black educators in this world. So to be in those spaces where sometimes those that don't necessarily feel free to speak the way they need to or want to in the education system, finally find a thought partner where they can express themselves and then give feedback so that they can move forward. So this was one of the final convenings of the past 2 years. And so they brought us down here, and my wife said, I wasn't allowed, brother. I couldn't just go to New Orleans.
That's right.
She said, say less.
That's
I'm
right.
going too.
We going to New
She said,
Orleans.
we got an educational conference. So here we are.
Yes.
And all praises to Allah.
Smoking like a true MGT. That's right. That's right. Okay, good. So he has, would each of you be so kind to take a moment to share with us how each of you came to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Yeah. No, well, I
Yes,
thought
ma'am.
you would start because, when I came to college, I went to the University of Rochester, and I met him when I got there. And it was through my interactions with my husband that I came into the teachings. And so there was a brother, and you all might know brother, do you all remember Brother Henri Muhammad, the music school? Muhammad
Yes.
school?
Yes.
So he was actually a student on campus. And let me tell you, he was in the nation while he was in college.
Right.
I don't know how long he had been in the nation, but, and when he would be on campus, he would have his Final Call newspaper. He would post himself in front of parties, like in front of the rooms where the parties were, and just showing the final call, passing out the final call. And it was our interaction, well, I would say my husband's interaction with Brother Henri at a party now. Sisters, I got dressed, okay? We were supposed to be going to my husband's fraternity's gala, the Crimson and Cream, and it was that night, in my opinion, that night was the beginning of these 27 years that we've been married, because that was the night that he had a conversation with Brother Henri, and they talked the entire night.
Right.
And so maybe the next weekend or the following Sunday,
No, yeah, that next Sunday. That was on a Friday. On Sunday, I went to the mosque.
he went to the mosque, and we've been going to the mosque ever since.
That is accurate.
Yeah. But it's so interesting because that actually, I didn't learn until after I came into the nation that actually wasn't my first interaction with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So when I was in the womb of my mother, she would go visit, I'm from Atlanta, and so she would go visit the mosque on West End, if anybody's from Atlanta, in the West End area, while she was carrying me. And the thing that she took, the one thing that she took, she didn't sign her pledge card, but she took How to Eat to Live. And
Wow.
so I grew up, now imagine growing up in Atlanta, Georgia, not eating pork, right? Like crazy, right? So, but I grew up not eating pork and not really understanding like why we didn't, just knew that it wasn't good for your health, but it was the influence of the teachings, right, that caused that. So, you know, that was like my real first interaction with the teachings of the Young Elijah Muhammad.
So,
Crazy to allow.
so no. Watch this. Because her best friend growing up
How could I forget that?
is Sadiqa Powell.
Brother Musa Powell.
Musa Powell's daughter. Grandmaster
Wow.
that
Yes. How could I forget
brother
that?
Aziz, student,
Right.
regional
Right.
assistant Supreme Captain Aziz,
Right.
learned from.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
That's
right.
her best friend's father.
Wow.
And so, okay, so you want to, okay, so let me tell that story. If you want to go there. So, and again, this is coming after, wait, please forgive me. I don't think I gave the greetings. Assalamu alaikum. I'm sorry. I'm a little nervous. But that story is really interesting because, again, and these things are all unfolding after coming into the nation, right? But when I was about 8 or 9 years of age, Sadiqa was my best friend's name. She came to Atlanta from New York, her and her mom. And I remember, you know, we got to know each other, and I remember spending the night at her house. And she would always, before we went to bed, like she would always be saying this prayer. And it was in a different language. And I would just be like, what are you saying? Like, what is that, right? And she was like, I don't know. It's just, you know, thanking God, right? And so I remember one night I went, I had gotten up in the middle of the night, and I went through a door, and I went the wrong way because I was supposed to be, I went to the restroom, but I was coming out of the restroom, and I went to the wrong door. And I saw this figure of this woman, it was her mother, praying. And, you know, and I'm seeing like she's had her head covered and, you know, she's bending down. And again, these images stayed in my mind. And so after coming into the nation and hearing like the Al-Fatiha, right? Seeing this, and I realized, oh my goodness, like that is the same prayer that my best friend was saying, right, when I was younger, but she didn't know what she was saying.
Wow.
And so, but then, you know, and then all of this history, you know, having a conversation with her mom grew up, her mom actually was in Mosque number 7, and she would actually serve the Honorable Mrs. Farrakhan bean soup, like, you know, all the time at the Salam restaurant, right? I don't know if it was called the Salam in New York City, but she remembers like serving him, you know, and just being part of the community. So that was my interaction with the teaching.
Wow.
Yes, praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. Anything else you want to add, brother?
No, that's very real. You know, the Honorable Mrs. Farrakhan said that we are the sum total of our life experiences.
Yes.
And so, you know, I grew up very much under the veil of white supremacy, right? And so when I got to school and you know, you get to college and you do a lot of things, and I did a lot of things, but I also got exposed to a lot of things I had never been exposed to before. And in that, I'm studying and you know, I'm just this, you know, wild young boy who thinks he knows everything. And so when a brother Henri shows up, I was what you might call I was a Malcolmist, right? I, you know, had all the tapes and CDs, and you know, I thought I knew. And this brother showed up, and he said his name was Henry X. Like, Henry X? Who do you think he is? But my senior year, a funny thing happened. There was a group called Brand Nubian.
Yes.
And they came out with an album, and there was a song on it called The Meaning of the 5%. And it starts out, it's all bass, and then all of a sudden you hear a voice, right? The poor have been made into slaves by those who teach lies They don't teach the law of cause and effect.
That's right.
They make the people believe when they see it rain that a spook is producing it. But the rain is real. How then can the cause be unreal? And he goes through you are witnessing conditions in the world today that are produced by real men, but you don't see the real cause of the effect of your own suffering. Because the leaders who are the bloodsuckers of the poor make you believe God is some mystery God.
That's
But
right.
the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us, and that hit me because I'm a Malcolmist. And all Malcolm ever said was, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us, and now this person just referred to Elijah Muhammad. Well, who is this? Because I didn't know.
Yeah.
But now I want to know.
Exactly.
Because he's talking that talk. And I like that talk.
Yeah.
When I learned who it was, and I talked with Brother Henri, as we call him now, right? It was at the Crimson and Cream Ball, and I had no intentions of sitting with Brother Henri at the Crimson and Cream Ball. I was going to do what we do at the Crimson and Cream Ball.
Right.
And I had my girlfriend at the time, and we were there, and Brother Henri was sitting at the table like this,
Right.
just smiling.
Right.
And I said, what is he doing here? I was like, I gotta ask him. I gotta ask him why he's here. So I went over and sat down, and I said, Brother Henry, let me ask you a question. What are you doing here?
Right.
Like, you see what we doing.
Yeah.
Why are you here? And he said, oh, brother, doesn't the money go to support the scholarship? I said, well, yeah. He's like, well, we always support our people when they're striving to do good. I said, well, brother, what could you actually do here? He said, well, brother, obviously I'm not trying to see how some of our sisters are dressed. He said, but I do enjoy the music. I said, you do? He said, oh, brother, I love hip-hop music.
Yeah.
I said, you do? Because in the mind of the people,
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Allah
That's right.
covers our sins.
Yeah. That's
They
right.
think the minister has to say, I didn't fall out of heaven. Brother, they think you did. Sister, they think you did.
That's right.
You're like a superhero because you're doing what they don't think they can. So I was like, you listen to that? He said, brother, that Raekwon the chef, brother?
Oh, you in now. He in. Yeah, he in now. He talking
I
about
said,
the chef.
Raekwon the chef. He said, brother, watch these rat niggas get all up in your guts. Brother, that's the jam. I said, what?
Yeah.
And from that point, for the rest of the night, we talked.
Yeah.
And he invited me to the mosque. And the next day, I had no intention of going. But he called me on Sunday morning and said, brother, you said you were going to come with me to the mosque.
That's
And
right.
this is what he said. Are you going to keep your word?
Come on.
And here I am.
All praises to God. That's a great story.
Praise be to Allah.
That's great. Okay. Wow. So you kind of mentioned it a little bit in passing by. But of course, the next question is, we want to know, how did you all meet and then decide to become married? So you know this always goes left, right? It's always more than one story.
I'm going to let her tell the story.
And you're going to clean
And
it
then
up.
I'll tell the real
The real story. Gotcha.
Wow.
So you can tell the story, and then he'll give us the real story.
This is her version, I just want to say.
Interesting. That's interesting. So like I said, coming to the U of R, and I was actually going to a dining center called the Frederick Douglass Dining Center to eat lunch. I think it was lunchtime. And I walked in and I saw, you know, a bunch of, I think it was all brothers. I don't know if they're, you know, it was just a bunch of brothers sitting, you know, sitting, eating. And, you know, I met my friends there. We got our food, sat down. And then I get up again and like some person, this person, he had on a jersey, had on a 29 jersey, and I'm thinking he's one of the football players. But he gets up, I mean, he just, you know, shoots in front of me to go get something, and then later on he speaks and he was like, you know, how you do? I'm like, hey, I'm fine, thank you, you know. And so that was our first meeting. That's how we met, right? And then I think I saw him the next day. Now, mind you, you know, first of all, I grew up Christian. I was not in Islam, so let me make that clear at the time. But I had a boyfriend at the time, and in Atlanta, and he had a girlfriend on the campus. Right.
That was before they got saved.
This is
Before they got saved.
This was, again, I had to, you know. But, and so the next day, you know, I saw him at the bookstore. I think I was getting my books, and I saw you the next day, and he basically just asked me out, asked me to go, like, have dinner or something like that. And so we got to, I know. So we got to know each other. Oh, I thought he was shaking his head. But that's how we met, you know. And so from that point on, like we became friends. And that's what I'll say. Like I know, you know, the circumstances weren't the best, but you know, Allah always has a way of bringing people together. You know, look at Mary and Joseph, right? Look at that situation. But you know. But there was something that I saw in Jason. I don't know what, it was just something, like I saw beyond, you know, what other people saw. You know, we're taught when we look at each other, we see God in each other. And even though I didn't know that term, you know, at the time, but I feel like, you know, looking in hindsight, like I saw something different. I feel like I did see God in him, you know, or the potential of God. And not only that, but I knew that like he has always been just a teacher, just a natural born teacher. And so he would teach me things, you know, even about my own faith. Right? Like he would show me things, or you know, I remember him having me listen to KRS-One, you know, and I'm listening and I'm like, and it's disrupting everything that I thought I knew about Christianity, right? And so, you know, but these are the things that attracted me because truth is attracting, right? And so when somebody offers you truth, it messes you up because you know, you believe all that you've learned all through those years, but when truth comes, it dispels all of that, right? And so that's what was really attracting to him. But that's how we met. I forgot a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that's how we met.
Yes, ma'am.
No, that was very near correct.
Okay.
So we so she was coming onto the campus as a freshman, right? And I had just graduated.
Okay.
And so I was still on the campus. I was with the football team. I played football at U of R. And now I was about to start grad school there, working on my master's. But I was also a graduate assistant coach on the football team.
Gotcha.
So I was mixed in with the players because I was just one of the players just a year before. And it was in the dining center, and I did say how you do. And I did. You know how they say, I saw it from across the crowded room? That's true. That is true. I will.
Okay.
Because I told the crew I was with, I was like, that's me right there.
Come on.
You got to call your shot.
Come on. That's right. That's right.
So,
That's
and
right.
I did ask her to dinner.
Okay.
And she had a little like keychain.
Oh,
She had a little keychain, right? With a picture on it. And in my arrogance, I was like, so that's your man? She said yes, and I said, so you want to go to dinner? And she said yes. So come on, black man. Come on. That's player, man. So, but you know, the reality is, as I started to, you know, and again, at the time, man, the music was different, brother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You had a chance listening to the music at that time.
Exactly. Yeah.
You have a
Absolutely.
chance today, brother.
That's right.
And so the music at that time, it was edutainment. It was teaching.
Mhm.
It was causing me to go and research things and study
Yeah.
on my own. And as a result of that, it pushed me even closer towards the brother Henri's and going to the mosque. And, you know, once you go once, you're going to go twice. And, and you got to keep going. And,
Yeah.
and I made a decision. And I remember I told her, I said, listen, I don't know what you're going to do. I'm going to be at the mosque.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what I'm going to do. You can't, brother, I'm going to tell you the truth. I've been around a little bit. I haven't seen everything. But in my experience, I've never seen a brother pull a sister in to come to the mosque. I've never seen it. Because what happens is she didn't come for her. She came for him.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen it. And so I didn't know that at that time, right? I hadn't had any experiences. I knew I was coming for me.
Yeah, exactly.
You can do what you want to do. And that's really where I was with it. You can do what you want to do. I'm going to be over on Genesee Street, Jenny and Sawyer. I'm going to be on Jenny and Sawyer with them brothers over there.
Right.
You can do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
I brought her a message to the black man and signed it. Because I want you to know the truth. And that was it. And now you got to do for you. She always tells me, I learned you're going to take care of you. Yes. And you got to take care of you, right?
That's right.
And so she came for her.
Yeah.
And all praise be to God.
So what was it, sis, that you saw in him that you said, I'm going to marry this man? And then vice versa?
Well, so we were on that road when we came.
Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
So
let me. Okay, go ahead.
no, I was just saying we were on that path, right? We came in, so our courtship was not the traditional courtship.
Right. Yeah.
Our courtship proved you should be in the traditional courtship.
Right. That's right.
Right.
Come on.
Right?
Yes.
You know, you can
Yeah.
try to dodge the process if you want.
That's right.
Right.
Come on.
Like you're free to do that.
Yes.
You're free to do a lot of things. However, there's a however.
Always.
And so the courtship process, that's the one thing that I would say we learned. The bumps that we hit, the times we bumped our head, the roadblocks, the trials that we experienced early in our marriage was a result of us doing it our way and not following the straight path.
Yes.
That's the reality of the situation.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, hindsight's 20/20.
Come on. Absolutely.
Right? We wouldn't be though, you know, where we are, you know, if it weren't for our struggle. That's how, you know, you can't tell somebody who's never had an addiction to go and counsel that brother with the addiction. You've never been there.
Exactly.
Right? I'm telling you
Mm-hmm.
that Muhammad's way is the way.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. version. Now you're gonna give the real version.
That's a shared version.
That was the shared version. I was just gonna say that to the point that you were making about how we came in, and I remember when he approached me in that way, and he's right. That's what he said. Like, you know, you got to do what you got to do. This is what I'm doing. And you know, it took me a minute. It took me a month or two to make that decision for myself. And so, and of course, I'm glad I did. But one of the things that was attracting was to see the change that it was making in him. Because, you know, my husband, well, my boyfriend at the time, like, he was, you know, he smoked, right? I mean, we all, you know, had our vices growing up, and so smoking was big for this one over here. And I remember, and like, I was just kind of sick of it. I'm like, okay, something's got to change. Like, I remember thinking that, and that was the change. It's like God heard my prayers, and I'm just like, wow. And so when I saw how much the nation was really making him a better person, that in and of itself was attracting, you know, to me, to learn more about, well, what is this that is changing him? Because I didn't think anything would change him, right? So, and so, you know, and then asking the sisters, coming to the mosque, asking the sisters questions, and, you know, and I came from a very devout, you know, Christian background, and so just kind of was afraid of, you know, what my family would think and things like that. But at a certain point, you reach a certain point where you're just like, I got to do this for me. I can't think about, you know, what mom and grandma are gonna think, and so that was it. You know, I chose this for myself.
Good. Okay, great. So, sis, then you're actually kind of hitting on all of the questions as we go. So it's actually going, it's flowing right in line.
Okay, crazy to the line.
So he said, so you've been married 27 years,
Yes.
a little over 27 years. Right, we got to give it up for 27. 27 years.
Our anniversary was last Sunday.
Yes.
Oh, man, Allahu Akbar. And so as you reflect on your time and your struggles, your ups and downs, what advice would you give for single believers in preparing themselves for marriage? And what advice would you give to married couples who are trying to sustain and keep their marriage going?
Oh, okay. So I think one of the advice I would give is to first establish a relationship with Allah. This is advice to the single believer. Really, because I feel like that relationship with Allah is really what helps you get through the ups and downs of the relationship that you have with your spouse and really any other relationship. And so that being first and foremost is really having a connection with the God, because that is what is going to sustain this.
Absolutely.
And I also think for single believers too, another advice I would give is to really observe other, observe married couples, right? And then as best as you can, right? Because sometimes in our observations of one another, we may not always see everything,
right.
But there are these little things that you might see that are attracting, right? That are something that you might want for yourself. Of course, not in an envious or jealous way, but just, you want for your brother what you want for yourself, right? Okay. So, and so take that, right? Take the good of what we see in other marriages. So that's the advice I would give to single believers.
So the minister on Final Call Radio the other day, he was speaking about marriage, and he talked about how because we don't have a relationship with Allah. We get into a relationship with somebody and we put them in the place of Allah. And now when that relationship goes bad, you have no one to turn to.
Right.
That's right.
Whereas if you had a relationship with Allah, when the relationship with that one doesn't go right, you can turn to Allah. But since you put that one in the place of Allah to substitute for Allah, there's no one to turn to.
That's right.
Man.
That's right.
So that's absolutely 100% right and exact. Right? Because you got to be able to say, Lord, help me with her.
Right.
We missed that one.
Right?
Yeah,
I'm trying to get that one in, right? I'm trying so hard. But that's actually the other part. Like, is this somebody you laugh with? So, whenever something happens to me, right, the good and the bad, and if you are in a relationship with your spouse, sometimes you good or bad, do you still want them to be the first one that knows?
Good question.
Like that good thing just happened. Who you calling? You know what I'm saying? You calling your boys? You still got boys like that? You calling your girlfriend? To chit chat? So when the good stuff happens, like, I want to talk to her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
right.
sincerely,
Yeah.
right? So if you are getting into a courtship, is this somebody that you would want to quote unquote hang out with? Not because you have to, because you got nowhere else to go, but because you really want to. That's a person you're comfortable with, right?
Yeah.
That makes you smile,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, with our friends, with our good friends, with our the ones we grew up with our boys, you know and I know that we got some folks that are our boys that have made us so angry. You wanted to fight, and sometimes you did, but that was still your guy. And I remember it was our anniversary one time, and I was blessed. Brother Student Minister Kenneth gave me the chance to teach, and it was our anniversary. And I said on the roster, I was like, Kadara, I love you so much. You make me more angry than anyone on the face of the earth. And it's because I love you so much. Right? But to be able to understand as a person, you have emotions. It didn't say ignore your emotions and you can be God.
That's right.
Right? We're supposed to what? Rise above our emotions into the what?
Thinking.
Into the thinking of God.
That's right.
Right.
So that's why I said when something good happens, right? Who's the one that you think that you want to call to share that with? Right?
That's right.
So that's who she is for me. So if the one that you are interested in, the one you want to court, if that's not one that you would want to share something good with, right? The God already knew. He's the one that gave it to you. Right? But now who do you want to share it with? It was something that wasn't so good and you're not sure what to do. The God allowed that to happen too. Right? Who do you want to share that with? Right? And then if that's your spouse, again, who do you want to share that with? She's my
That's right.
best friend next to Allah and his messenger.
Praise be to Allah. Okay, next question. Moving along. Y'all know Brother Willie, straight to the point on these questions. So you've been blessed to have 6 children.
Yes, sir.
Whose ages ranges from 10 to 26.
Yes, sir.
What lessons have you learned about parenting that you can share with those of us here tonight?
When our son was born, Allende, our firstborn, you know, they said, you got 6, right? How many did you want to have? One. But Allah, He's the best of plans.
That's right. Absolutely.
When Allende was born, there was a lot of complications. And I remember, you know, at the end of the day, we're getting ready to check out, and you come to a realization, wait, they're gonna let me take on a baby? Right? Ain't no instruction manual with this thing?
Yeah,
like,
just
it's
take
just,
it on.
I'm just gonna leave with a baby, right? I didn't come with one, but I leave with one.
Exactly.
And, you know, we wanted to do everything, right? Quote unquote by the book, right?
Yeah.
We wanted to do everything in the way of an Islamic household. Like, we decided like this isn't a, you know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday thing. Like, we do this, right?
Yeah.
Like this is who we are.
Exactly.
Period. My father asked me, you know, what are you gonna name him? Man, Allah be pleased with my father. I said, Allende. He said, oh no. He said, give the boy a chance. He said, he's already got the name Muhammad. Allende means he came after our praises. In other words, after we learned how to praise Allah,
That's right.
our son came.
Wow. Wow.
Each one of our children has an Islamic name or a righteous name, a scriptural name. The only eyeball was me. Right, so we have Allende, Nzinga, Naima, Imani, Isaiah, and Aziza. Right? And they were all, the first four are 2 years apart. And you know, I'm not the darkest brother in the room. And so people would see, you know, this young black girl who looked like she's 18, you know, with a stroller with all these babies, trying to figure it out, because they're all lighter than she is. So they're like, maybe she's the nanny.
Oh, right. Wow. Yeah. Crazy.
And then there was a little gap, but Allah has jokes. We got Isaiah and then Aziza. We all have birthday buddies, if you will, where we have a family of 8. And so 2 share a birthday month. Right? 2 have a birthday month. Our marriages, the date of our marriage is found in the Supreme Wisdom of May 26th. That's also the date that Master Fard Muhammad, I believe, was run out of Detroit. Was Master Fard Muhammad, Muhammad Elijah Muhammad, was run out of Detroit May 26th.
1942.
Yeah. I was born on October 5th. My mother was born on February 26th. My father was born on May 12th. My son Isaiah was born October 24th, the day of the announcement. I don't know what any of it means, but it scares the mess out of me. The biggest thing that I'm learning with my children, and it can be a trial for all of us, and I think Student Minister Nuri speaks about it, because you got Muslim children, and then you got the children of Muslims. And the distinction is subtle, but there's a distinction. And we strive to raise Muslim children. But we can't choose that for our children.
That's right.
And that, personally, for Brother Jay, that's the toughest thing to do. Because we have taught them nothing than that which we believe to be the plain, absolute truth. And when they don't drink from the cup you provide, regardless of how clean it is, that can be a struggle. And if you don't have faith that it is either the active or permissive will of Allah, you can stumble over that one.
Yes, sir.
Or you could, you know, is it a reflect what, you know, the sins of the father, they finally, following the children, right? And maybe, however, right, each one has to make their own decision.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All you can do, right? There's no compulsion in Islam.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because the right way is what?
Clear.
Distinct
From
error.
That's right.
Finish
That's
it.
all you can do.
That's
all
right.
you can do. And then you call on to God.
That's right.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have 2 questions left. Did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I did.
Go.
That was beautifully said, sweetie. You know, one thing that I've learned with that, to your point, we plan, because
Yes.
we have a lot of plans, especially as mothers. We have plans for our babies, right?
Yes.
Being their first teachers, and but we plan and Allah plans, and Allah is the best of planners. And I think one thing that I'm learning, because I'm always learning this with each and every one of my children, and I'm learning to not judge them. Right? To strive to not be so judgmental to our children. And that is, it's really tough, right? And we know that we're not to judge, but we are so quick when it comes to our children. It just seems like we are so quick to just really judge them outright. And so I'm really learning not to do that. Because Allah has a journey, to your point about their journey, and they have to take that. Allah has a journey for them, like in the same way that we had to go through some things, right? And so they also have to go through some things, no matter how much we protect them or strive to protect them. But they have to make their own decisions. So I'm just learning to, let go and let God.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
When it comes to the baby, so.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Great. So, while we're on the subject of children,
Yes.
one of your daughters recently was in the news. There's a news story about an HBCU making history as a gymnast at an HBCU. Can you talk about that accomplishment and how that makes you feel as parents?
So, all of our children, we feel about ours what you feel about yours, right?
Right.
My children don't. So, they all, they're all their own person. They all do unique things. So our daughter Naima, from the time she was little, she said she wanted to go fast. That's all she said.
Yeah.
I want to go fast, Dad.
Yeah.
Whether it was running or swinging or climbing, she wanted to go fast. We put her in ice skating. And so that didn't last long because she didn't want to do, I don't know how much they ice skate down in Norway, right?
It's been a long time ago.
So
Long
in ice
time
skating
ago.
class, they give you like this metal bar, right? And you got the ice skates on your feet, and you kind of shuffle along with the metal bar until you get your balance, right? But my daughter wanted to go fast. She's seeing the older girls do stuff.
Right.
So she slid that thing to the side. And they wanted her to do these things where she would stop by pointing her toes. But she's looking at the big girls. And the big girls are like, making the stuff go. So I'm looking, and she's going, and she's going in circles. And so it was time for her to test for her level. And because she couldn't stop pointing her toes, they failed her and wouldn't move her on. There's a great lesson in that. Because just because, you might not do 2 + 2, but if you can do 2 times 2, why are we going to hold them back when they're more advanced? So she decided, I don't want to do this anymore, and I understood. So we found a little gym, and she started doing gymnastics. And like a lot of things, the minister, again, he talked about, this was several years ago, he had a series, it was over the summer, he had a series of believers meetings like during the day. This was several years ago.
Yeah.
And he talked about a lot of things. He
Yes.
even started talking about his own domestic life and
That's right.
a lot of things.
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
I don't know who was around and who remembers those.
Yes, sir, I
things.
remember.
Minister. And so in that, he talked about black boys don't have outlets for their aggression.
That's right.
White boys go to school with outlets,
Mm-hmm.
and they're allowed to participate in sports
Absolutely.
and activities.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'll play football, they'll play basketball and lacrosse.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the same outlets, so the aggressive tendencies of black boys gets expressed in negative and destructive ways,
Mm-hmm.
and the white boys have an opportunity to release all of that aggression in a positive and constructive way.
Exactly.
He said, I would love to see MUI have a football team and whoop up on all these little white boys.
That's right. That's what he
I said, I'll coach it.
That's what he said.
So, my daughter was one of very few who participated in gymnastics. And we had a big struggle on how that was going to look, because one no way in the world she was going to be out there with her crotch exposed, to be quite honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
We don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
My wife wasn't feeling the fact that she actually couldn't wear anything on her head because of the apparatus that was used.
Yeah.
It was possible that it might get caught up in the bars or
Mhm.
on the vault or.
Mm-hmm.
So we said, well, she's gonna cover something. My wife got her tights, and she competed with tights when she was little, and it was no big deal until the older she got. All of a sudden, there one cute little, it was competitions
Right.
with little white girls
Mhm.
whose parents were like, she's been doing this. How long has she been doing this? Oh, this is her second year. Can't be. Actually, ma'am, it is. And she started just winning. You know, our children, when we wanted to flip, somebody had to get a new mattress.
That's right.
Right? You got a new mattress in the neighborhood, everybody come around, everybody flip on it.
That's right.
Right? Everybody knew how, in Albany, we talk about my brother Dwayne, he got hit by a car and he was like, I flipped. And that was the only flipping we knew about. Right? She started flipping and spinning and doing cartwheels and doing advanced moves like it was ice skating all over again. But now that she's competing and there's trophies involved and there's all of these things, all of a sudden that rule about what the uniform should look like kicks in. My wife would sew tights into her leotard. We went to battle with USA Gymnastics and got the rule changed.
Come on.
So that she could wear tights. Praise be to Allah. When she competed. She competed at the national level, she competed at the regional level. Her coaches had to carry a note with them every meet to show the judges, because the judges wanted to deduct points because she wanted to be covered. What we didn't realize was the impact. The same impact, sisters, that you have when you show up and they trying to figure out where you're from. The same impact, brother, when you show up suited and booted in the hood and everybody's like, here they go. She showed up covered, and all of a sudden these little Muslim girls who didn't think they could compete in gymnastics found out they could. Eventually, by the grace of Allah, she went to college, and during the pandemic, went to Bridgeport. And long story short, that was a bad situation, but we pulled her home during the pandemic. And she went to a local college, State University of New York at Brockport, just outside of Rochester, and competed collegiately and challenged the NCAA. And they gave her a waiver as well, that she could compete with tights on. But we didn't have to sew them in this time.
No, we didn't have to sew
The announcement was made that Fisk was going to start the first women's gymnastics team for an HBCU. And the coach reached out to her because some of her some of her routines had kind of gone viral in the gymnastics world, and it was news that this Muslim girl named Muhammad was competing in tights and got the rules changed. So like this was a big deal.
That's right.
So the coach at Fisk reached out and asked her if she wanted to now be a part of history again. And so I was like, I don't know how we're gonna pay for that. But we said, go ahead, Naima, and Allah blessed her, and she received a scholarship. So, by the grace of Allah, it was January of 2023. This was in the final call. Their first meet was in Las Vegas. And so we flew out to Las Vegas to see her. And lo and behold, her coach had her to be the first one to compete. So there's videos out there where you'll hear the announcer say, there'll only be one first. Naima Muhammad.
That's right. That's right. Yes.
You can't get away from Muhammad.
Can't do it.
You can't get away from
We always
Muhammad.
say you can't take Muhammad nowhere.
You can't. So now we just found out some girl just wrote, the whole HBCU thing. We have pictures to see these little black girls.
Yes.
Young Miss Louis Farrakhan talked about Obama, talking about you can't put that genie back in the bottle.
That's right. That's right.
A picture's worth what? 1,000 words. So to see this image of a black girl in tights, all these little black girls that didn't know what that looked like, didn't think they could, all of a sudden, they're making decisions that they want to go to school and be amongst themselves.
That's right.
Right? And be successful. And so some little girl, she's an artist, she drew all these pictures of my daughter in tights doing things, and now, we looking to get that children's book written about Muhammad.
That's right. That's great. Anything you want to add, sis?
He covered that one.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, cool. So we're at the end of this portion. And so before we go to the questions from the audience, is there anything that you all would like to share that you haven't shared as of yet that you would like to?
No, I don't.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
You
I
good?
can't think of anything.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we can
We like humbly,
Yes, we are humble.
to be here, honored that you all would, you could have been like, oh, he canceled study group.
Right.
So to come out, all praise is due to Allah.
Yes.
It's good to know that you have family wherever you go.
Yes.
That's right.
All praise is due to Allah.
Thank you.
praise be
Thank
to
you.
Allah. So we can take some questions from the audience. We have about 10 minutes left, so we'll take some questions. Yes, sir, for the hearts.
Assalamu alaikum.
Brother.
For coming, y'all are very humbling to see. My question is for you, brother.
Yes, sir.
My wife is the most beautiful, no disrespect to the rest of MGT. My wife is the most beautiful MGT.
Right.
And for Sunday meeting, I love to see my wife and her gone.
Yes.
That's right.
I mean, we done had arguments because sometimes I tell my wife, yeah, put this one on because I saw Captain Michonne and Sister
Right.
and I be dead wrong.
Right.
Stay out of MGT business. But my question is to you, on a Sunday morning as my wife getting dressed,
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be here to secure the building.
No, that's right.
Now my captain said, leave her.
Right.
I can't leave my wife.
Right.
So my question is, y'all been together 20-something years. How you work getting to the miles on
Man, I
time
can tell you
without rushing your wife? Because even though we
She
be
don't
up
want to
at,
be rushed. She don't want to
and my wife gotta put the last list, and I be like, I be in my uniform and I be like looking at the time. I be pacing through the house. I be like,
So
Yes, sir.
that's a great question. So one day we'll be on time, brother, and be able to tell you about it.
Great answer.
That's real talk.
So there's a couple ways I could deal with that. I'm gonna tell you, we don't usually go to the mosque together. Right? And now I gotta share with you, brother. Like, so brother Patrick said you go coast to coast in New Orleans in 20 minutes. Rochester, you could do it in 8. Right? And our mosque is literally maybe 2.5 miles, maybe. Like we go down, we take a right, take a left, we park.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's real close. And meeting starts at 11, and I gotta be there at 10, right? And if I'm on the program for the day, I then have to go. Student Minister Kenneth don't play. We gotta go and present to him what we're gonna say, right? You're up, brother. Okay, no. You're up, brother. Okay, fix that. Like that's real. So I have to be there, or I might have doorposts, right? So brother's got to be there. So there's many times where we have a plan to go together. It don't work. And I take mine, and then she comes and brings the children. Or sometimes, if the children are ready, I'll take them, right? And then she'll come. One Savior's Day, student minister Don Muhammad out of Boston, and his wife, Sister Shirley, and lobby please with her. They were on a marriage panel, and the question was raised, how do you, build your marriage and stay connected when one of them's a laborer and the other was not? And the response brother gave was, well, y'all better be at the mosque, because you guaranteed to see each other every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday.
That's right.
Yes.
So then there's an expression, and I'll close with this. I don't know if this is right? I don't know if this is right. And I say this, and sometimes Brother Kenneth laugh at me. Brother Student Captain Brother Navi, he laugh at me. And depends on the mood. But it goes like this. Welcome to my world. Right? And my world might not be your world. And I can't judge my world. Brother, I've been a captain. And that's about as easy as bailing out the Titanic with a spork. Right? It's difficult work putting pants on the elephant. And so, it's a juggling act, and there's never a perfect answer because we're not yet perfect people. And so some days are good, some days aren't so good. Some days you give out all 5 in, some days you're just trying to get out the bed. Some day you have 1 meal a day, sometimes you eat 1 meal at a time. And that's the ebb and the flow of life striving to come up out of this world. So if you're blessed to get with your wife on time to a meeting, all praises due to Allah. And Brother Captain, real talk, I can't leave my wife right now. I'll pay the fine. Right? You're right. I got to drop and give you 20. It is what it is. Welcome to my world. But today I can't. Next week I will. And so it turns into a conversation amongst believers who are just striving to get back.
Great answer. Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Brother Minister.
First of all, I just want to let y'all know. They from the Rock.
Rock of the East. I already know, brother.
Okay. And I see why Rochester is one of the few study groups in our region that are allowed to have a Sunday lecture. A lot of the others watch the webcast.
Yes, sir.
Because they have a core
That's
like
right.
this.
That's right.
But I want to ask you in hindsight about, again, there's a lot of young people.
Yes, sir.
Who, the sisters are beautiful, the brothers are handsome.
Yes, sir.
How do you cool your eyes and absorb the value, in hindsight with you all, of a proper courtship. You know, going through it properly, going through your captains, making sure you're not violating. What effect do you think that has more now in your hindsight?
So, I'm gonna answer part of it, then transition. Watch. So, number one, brother, when we're out with the paper, right, there's a lot of instances where sisters say some wild stuff.
That's right.
And they
Don't
dress
tell too
even
much.
more wild.
Don't tell too much.
Right?
Right?
But here's the reality, right?
Yeah.
This is the reality, brother, right? In school, there's always a test.
Come on now.
And if you fall for that one, you weren't who she thought you were anyway.
That's right.
She expects you to do what you do and being respectful and walking away. That's what she's looking for.
Yeah.
That's why she said what she said. She wanted to see you flex your superpower because she ain't seen it all day till now.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
That's number one. Number two, brother, do you know my wife is the super mosque matchmaker? Wait, like for real, for real. Like for real. Like she like 3-0 right now, I think. Right?
3-0. Oh, she bad now.
How do you think Brother Minister Kenneth got married?
Go ahead now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And it's because she sees the value in the courtship process.
Go ahead.
She had never once, one never, hey, one never like that.
Come on now.
Right? And so there's an elder brother, Brother Willie, and Sister Darlene. They're from two different cities. Sister Darlene was from Buffalo, right? 65 miles to our east. Brother Willie's in Rochester. Elders, pioneers. Now, they both just recently lost their spouse. But even those two, as old, as wise, as skilled, as versed, she brought them through, you know, sister, this is brother, this is sister in Buffalo, Sister Diane, Sister Captain of Buffalo, Brother Nobby, student captain of Rochester, Brother Willie, and if we could work, right? Now we chaperones, right? Because we know the value, we the chaperones. My brother Ronald, and his wife, Candy with Sister Colette.
Candy with Colette.
That's right.
Right? Well, that Brother Ronald was in Utica.
They're on the cover of Brother Willie's
marriage lecture that he did.
Yeah.
Those two. He was in Utica. Wow. See, this is the way we do it in Rochester, brother. He had to move to Rochester to marry. Student minister Abdul Hafiz Muhammad, may Allah forever be pleased with him, married them, counseled them, right? We chaperoned them. They came to our house for dinner. This is true talk. With their children, with Sister Colette's children, came to our house for dinner. We were the chaperone, so that in court, her children held court in my house. Talking about Brother Ronald. Go ahead. I was like, she talking to you, brother. So what do you? And they grilled that brother. And we sat there and we observed the grilling. Because this is what we do. It's a courtship process. Student Minister Kenneth. His wife, Sister Patrina, she's from Buffalo. City don't matter. She just moved to the Rock. That's how we do it. You get married. He said, we're going to get our number one way or the other. Okay. Right? But she's a matchmaker through the courtship process. Because that's our way. We have our way. Our way of dress, our way of eating, our way of prayer, our way of devotion. Right? The Most High Elijah Muhammad's way. Farrakhan's way works.
That's right.
He's undefeated.
Right.
That's
How would we change that?
That's right.
Can I just add?
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, and I'm gonna go back to this because I am a true believer of our teachings and what we have been taught, and I truly believe, in wanting for your brother and sister what you want for yourself.
That's right.
And that's just not a phrase. Like, we have to actually act on that. And so when we see, an opportunity, when we see, so-and-so may be good, for this person, like, even if just a mention, right? I mean, don't withhold that. Like, if you see something good, right, for your sister or something good for your brother, I think it's okay to say something, right? And so that's what I've always felt and believed.
That's true.
And not only that, but because we didn't necessarily go through that process, but I will say, even though, so when we came in, we were already engaged, I believe, yeah. And so, but as soon as we came in, we stopped whatever we were doing, okay? I keep it at that. We stopped everything, and we started to do as much as we could the process. Like, we had chaperones. If we wanted to go out, we we asked our beloved sister Wynette and brother Ronald. We asked them to go with us. Like, we tried to do it as best as we could, because we
So we also got married like immediately.
we didn't wait.
Like, we didn't.
We didn't.
You know what I mean? So I came in December 12th, 1996.
I came in
She
February
came in
16th,
February 16th.
1997.
Went to Savior's Day. So I had my ex December, January. I had an ex for 2 months. The minister said, "You're all Muhammad." I said, "Well, me too."
That's right.
Right? So I praised him to Allah. So May 26th, we got married. That was Memorial Day. She graduated from college May 25th. Because her mom said, you're not getting married. Because we were like, yo, we got to get married now. We don't do all that. And her mother said, you got to graduate college first. So she graduated on Sunday. We got married on Monday.
All right. So,
Sister in the back? I thought sister in the back.
did you have a question, Sister Phyllis?
I mean, earlier on, but I was just, I just felt your heaviness when you were talking about your children.
Yes.
And you led them on the proper course. And I just wanted your take on what do you think that intercepts that? I mean, all your children, you were Muslim, all your children were born to Muslim parents.
Yes.
And so what do you think intercepts the indoctrination that you've given them?
Great question. Great question.
Because I hear, other people talk about that, in their children,
So, now, if you ask my children, they'll tell you, right? They're Muslim, right? And so, my daughter, sister in Zinga, right? Now, my daughter in Zinga is strong. Like strong. You may have read some of her articles in Brother Dimitrich's books.
Yeah.
My daughter was the top Twitter Army defender of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. She used to be in Zinga 13 at Twitter, for the Farrakhan Twitter Army. Because she started tweeting on the Farrakhan Twitter Army when she was 13, right? She just graduated, praise be to Allah, from NYU with her master's in history. Her dissertation was on the influence of Muslim women, right, coming up through slavery. She did the research all the way back. She's on campus, suited and booted. That's what she does. She's a part of the Mosque 25 in Newark with Student Minister Hott. He's in the ministry class there. She opens sometimes and teaches, etc. She's strong. She don't play that, not even a little bit, right? My oldest is trying to figure out life, right? He'll tell you, he'll run down the teachings. Right? He'll run down. Won't cut his hair, but he'll run the teacher. Right? You can't say nothing about the minister around him, in front of him, near him. If you don't bump with the minister, he don't bump with you. Like, that's who he is. He doesn't run from. And these nation babies are different.
Yes,
They're not like us. So my frustration comes because I didn't have the teachers, right? And I'm like, but you were born in this, but because he's born in it, he doesn't feel like he's ever left it. You can't leave yourself, right? So he doesn't necessarily feel like he has to cut his hair because he was born knowing who he is. So I don't have to fall in. I've never fallen out. But there's a whole generation that's just like that. They're nation babies. They show up to Savior's Day, they got beards, they got braids, they talk about Assalamu alaikum, and they show up with a skinny jean suit and a bow tie, looking at you like you crazy because you looking at them crazy. He called brother student Imam Abdul Salam his uncle. He called student minister Ishmael Uncle Ish. He got all their personal phone numbers because that's his family. And you can't tell him he's not in the ranks.
That's right. That's it.
And you can't. I tried. Right? The nation babies are different. They need room to figure it out.
That's right.
Right? The minister said some of his best followers are where? Yeah, that's our children. Right? And that's the difficult part is coming to grips with that. He don't got to come to grips with it.
That's right.
We do. Exactly.
Right? Because he'll beat me to the mosque. Because I'll wait for my wife, brother.
Right? Brother Lawrence, if I could just add to what brother said, because we all experienced Minister Ishmael and brother Mustafa about a month, maybe less than a month ago. And that was a point that brother Ishmael made in New York. That he and brother Mustafa, they didn't plan on being the national assistant and the supreme captain.
That's right.
He said, brother, we never talked about none of that. They was just living life.
Right.
And Ishmael said he hated living in Mexico. He felt he said when the minister invited him to come live with them in Chicago, he asked his mother, he begged her, please, Ma. And he said him and brother Mustafa shared a room. Like teenagers together for years. And he looked at brother Mustafa, he said, brother, did we ever talk about doing any of this? and brother Mustafa said, no, sir. He said, we just went to pick up the minister.
Right.
And so you never know what Allah has in store.
You never know,
brother. Children.
That's right.
And you got to let them grow into it.
That's right.
So that they'll appreciate it when it comes to it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That's right. That's right. Praise be to Allah. Okay.
So,
Quickly,
scripture
that's the
says
last
trick.
question.
Well, it's going to be that.
Last question.
You already know.
Last question to make it quick.
I would do that
And make it quick.
Part 2. He is so funny. So train up scripture says train up a child in the way that they should go.
Right.
And when they're old, they will not depart from it. So it made me think of this middle ground when Sister Phyllis asked the question, what interrupts it. And so I started out, my 3 children started out being like this. Okay, you have homework on a Wednesday. You tell me it's time to go to mosque. Homework on the Wednesday, you're going to do it in Minister Willie or Minister Dwayne's office. Friday, the same thing. There was no such thing. See, there's no children. Well, we have some, but see, no children, no young people. And so, so I'm trying to find that structure and see where, because I think, okay, what did I do? And so I would do, my son was at all boys school at St. Augustine High School, and it's time to go march in a parade. You ain't marching in a parade and march with Muhammad at the same time. This is my thinking at the time. You got to choose. Ain't no such thing as this, and there's a history behind this thing. Not only is it against the black man, but it's also a very lewd environment. You know, so this is where I was at the time.
Yeah.
This has been some time ago. And so I said, and my husband says at the time, well, we're gonna make a decision based upon his grades. If he has good grades, then he'll march. But if he doesn't, he'll go along with my program. Well, I went to praying for the bad grades. Allah Akbar. Oh, he came home with a D. Can I get a witness? I'm still shouting after that because I know God was on my side. I don't give a you know what about that.
Right.
But at the time, see, I'm going back in
Yes,
history.
ma'am.
So I'm trying to see how do you determine what is too much, overstepping? Do you let them just, you know, because there is a way, and as you said, brother, and so I was with my son in Atlanta. I'm hurrying up. I was with that one of the ones that grow the hair. But he staunch down Muslim people coming to mosque. But who is like, I'm Maxwell's friend.
Right.
You know, so,
Yes.
you know, might be smelling a little like something, but you know.
Right.
So we happened to wind up in the open door bathroom in my daughter's house in Atlanta, and standing in the mirror, I'm talking to him, and all of a sudden we get to the subject of sacrifice, and I'm telling him the Arabic word is kurban, and I'm going down. But when he broke it down, the sacrifice, I had to take back. I said, boy, you know you belong on that rostrum. Because he explained it to me in a way I never. He said, Mama, everything that we do is about sacrifice. He said, when you pray, you bow down, you sacrifice your body to go before God on your, before him instead of stand up. He said, when you give, Mama, you sacrifice your money.
Yes.
He said, he ran it down. I was like, whoa, is this the one that just, you know, was smoking 2 weeks ago? But it was just to show me that Allah is in control of it all. Let go. And so I think that middle ground is to let go. And let Allah have his way as he did with all of us. Because just as you all went through the situation with your parents saying, oh, you're going down there, that's our life. Our whole family was against Islam. So thank you so much. And thank you for giving us that other perspective of Brother Henry. He came to the city and we are like, we got to get him back. But to know that he was daring like that back in the day, I have another respect for him.
He fished me in.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Praise be to Allah.
That was
Real quick, just
what is the middle ground?
Oh, okay.
So part of the reason we struggle is, so we I say we, like I always say, like I'm doing it, right? So she has homeschooled. All of them have been homeschooled, right? However, college, in the same way that it had me, will have our children.
Right.
My daughter went to, my daughter in Zinga, as an undergrad, went to Bennett in Greensboro, right? Bennett is a small women's college of about 200 total. That probably saved her. My son was at Tuskegee. When we went for the orientation and they pull out all the fireworks, I realized that if I had gone to an HBCU, I would still be in an HBCU today. That's the truth.
Yes, sir. Yep.
And so there's a reason why on the back page of the Final Call, where it talks about we want separate schools for boys, with an understanding that they'll go to separate colleges. So we have to be very careful. And in the era of online learning, where everything is right at your fingertips, it's not always necessary for them to go away. That's number one. So that's what made it more challenging for us. But I'll ask this and then I'll get up off it. So raise your hand if you have ever brought a guest to Chicago for Savior's Day? Raise your hand. No, not a relative.
Okay.
You and my son. Think on that. So my son, who I might be quick to judge, brought a guest to Savior's Day. How could something be wrong with him?
Come on now.
Right?
Yes.
When I have it. And so, you know,
Wow.
it's like Finding Nemo. Had a lot of children, but we see
Yes.
But the fish says, Marlin says to, I think, Dory. No, Dory says to Marlin. But if nothing ever happens to him,
Right.
nothing will ever happen to him.
Wow.
How's he going to be in a position, as I said, to help the next man
That's right.
if he's never been in the position of that man? So he's going in places that maybe I was at one time. I didn't think he would be there. But now in the same way that I can speak on this to somebody, now he's getting the opportunity as well. Do you want to protect him or do you want to raise him is the question I came across.
Right.
That's right.
But at the end of the day, all praises be to God.
That's right. All right, now, no more Sister Lenore. You're not getting me in trouble with the minister. Ma'am?
Can I present?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, Sister Captain has a presentation. Yeah, that was it. Bro. Unless you wanted to say something. Unless you had something you would like to say.
No, I wanted to say that, because as you were speaking, Sister Phyllis, thank you for that question, because I was thinking about in how we raising our children, just trying to provide a balance. You know, when my children were younger, we come to the mosque, like, you got to have your notepad out, you got to take notes, like, I mean, you know, that was very strict, right? And I learned that to loosen the reins a little bit, like, let them have a little bit of their fun, and that's why, you know, you see our daughter being a gymnast, and, you know, we have another daughter who's into cosmetology, and we have my son who's a music producer, so, you know, it's just really, the minister talks about really finding, you know, what your children are, you know, passionate about, and exploiting that, right? And so that article, that article where he talks about family from the perspective of children, I would highly suggest that we read that article, because it really, the minister provides a great balance of how we should, you know, raise our children in Islam, right? And so that's what I wanted to offer. I just wanted to.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Beautiful response. Sister Cap, our Sister Captain has a presentation.
Yes. So Assalamu alaikum.
Mom.
So on behalf of New Orleans, we thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
So we heard your anniversary before you got here. So we did a little compilation of gifts. Not only we usually give to the sisters, but it's for both of you. So happy anniversary. Thank you so much for coming. When do you leave? I can have it for you tomorrow.
You heard me say that.
Yeah, I heard.
Thank you all.
Good. So while we're standing, we'll close out in prayer.
Yes, sir.
All right. Prayer. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the most merciful, Master of this day of requital. Thee alone do we serve, thee alone do we beseech for thine aid. And will guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed thy favors, not the path of those upon whom thy wrath has been brought down, nor those who go astray. Ameen. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum.